Just waiting for one of our secretaries to return before we can begin.
So that's not
All right,
50 feet either.
everyone's here. We can begin. If you'd all please rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Cliff Rebuffo,
Here.
Art Christie,
Here.
Joanne Kalb,
Here.
John Horn,
Here.
Alan Shiner,
Here.
Sam Spada,
Here.
Vivian Wilson. Here. Notice is hereby given that the Town of Shandaken Planning Board will continue its public hearing that was initially held on August 9th, 2023 pursuant to Section 274-B of the state law and as prescribed by the District Schedule of Area and Bulk Regulations of the Shandaken Town Code for the purpose of hearing the following applicant. An application for a special use permit was submitted to the Planning Board by Aerostar Petroleum, Inc. for a parcel located at 9014-9022 Route 28 in Pine Hill, further identified as SBL number 4.46-3-10, located in a Hamlet Commercial Zoning District. The applicant is seeking a special use permit in order to redevelop an existing multipurpose site offering a convenience store, gasoline, diesel, liquor store, laundromat, and bus stop. New plans also include the addition of a Dunkin' Donuts drive-thru. The public hearing is scheduled for September 13th, 2023 at 6:45 p.m. at the Shandaken Town Hall, 7209 Route 28, Shandaken, New York. Anyone who wishes to make comment in regards to this application may do so during the public hearing. If you are unable to attend, you may send any comments you would like read during the meeting to shandakenbldg@gmail.com or P.O. Box 134, Shandaken, New York 12480. All such comments must be received no later than 3 p.m. on September 13th, 2023.
Thank you, Olivia. You have the list?
Yeah, and we did get 2 emails from people who could not attend tonight.
Do we have them in our packets here?
Yes, you do. I have them as well. Just literally just have the second one. I had mom's. Oops.
I got them right here.
We got
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Put up that
No. Would you like me to read them, Cliff?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Okay. First one is, my husband and I are property owners in Shandaken for over 20 years. We would like to express our concerns about the property which is now being considered for a drive-through Dunkin' Donuts. We are concerned about the traffic flow, as well as the need for a store that would sell staples, milk, eggs, bread, etc., as opposed to just coffee and cake. Please forward our concerns to the planning board, as well as any board that is supervising the property requirements for such a place that is proposed. Wendy and Herb Brooks, 62 Barley Road, High Mount. And in addition to that one, we have to the planning board and town board. We all want to see the shops and services open again at the Pine Hill strip of stores on 28. However, the proposed 6-pump gas station and Dunkin' drive-through is not acceptable. 1, the drive-through would cause traffic backup hazard on 28. Blind turn approach on 28 at over 55 miles per hour is dangerous. 2, the drive-through would not provide an indoor space to escape bad weather when waiting for a bus. 3, the excavation of a half-acre of hillside, large-scale terrain altering development required for the 6 gas pumps will increase flood water runoff hazard. Two pumps is plenty to suit the demand. 4, another Dunkin' drive-through already approved on 375 and 28 makes this additional drive-through redundant and a bad economic gamble. 5, the approved plan must add at least 4 electric charging stations for EV cars. Tripling the fossil fuel infrastructure is bad for climate change and goes against climate-smart initiatives. The Shandaken Planning Board has not given these problems enough attention. The Planning Board has been self-appointing and static for many years and no longer reflects our town's current economic, social, or environmental conditions. The town board must assert its authority and appoint members who understand and are dedicated to addressing the changing needs of the community. Review the Ulster County Planning Board comments before making any decisions. Thank you for your consideration, Dave Shannon.
Thank you. Are we timing or just,
We'll be okay. Yeah.
ready?
Yep.
Hillary Smith?
Hi, Hillary Smith, Fox Hollow Road, Shandaken. So I understand the plans haven't been revised to address the zoning nonconformity, which is an issue that you don't have the legal ability to override or approve these plans without having that properly addressed through other channels. Ideally revising the plans, but alternatively the applicant could try to seek a variance from the Zoning Board of Appeals, but currently you have a plan that is not approvable. Second, I'm curious why we don't have a concurrent site plan application running. It's a special use permit is for the use, the site plan application and approval is for the redevelopment of the site, commercial development of the site. It's a separate and distinct approval. The authorizations for these approvals are separate and distinct in the zoning and through New York State town law. So we should have concurrently run a site plan public hearing and a referral to the planning board, Ulster County Planning Board, for the site plan. If you look into other towns' referrals in the Ulster County Planning Board records, you'll see they do refer both their site plan and special use permit applications because they are two separate and distinct actions. Also, I understand the county has provided comments. I urge you to require the binding, the required modifications, to have the applicant come back with a plan that at least attempts to address some of these concerns. They're legitimate, they're engineering, they're technical, they're community character oriented, and the public has been reinforcing those comments that the planning board has now provided to you. Do we have anything else? I think that's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Andrew Messer?
Good evening, I'm Andrew Messenger. I live at 14 Academy Street in Pine Hill. In light of the rather lengthy report and recommendations from the Ulster County Planning Board, I would respectfully make the following comments. Most important at this state of the review, there is the question of our town code 11640D seems to require a 50-foot setback as opposed to the 25-foot setback as presented in the applicant's plan. If the planning board has not consulted with council about this matter, it would seem foolish to continue, as without resolution of this question, any action taken prior to the resolution would result or could result in legal action against the town at great expense to its residents. We should seek to avoid this. The solution is both practical and in keeping with common practice in similar situations. Based on the town code, this application should be rejected and referred to the ZBA for a setback variance. As a result of the ZBA decisions, the plan may or may not change. But if it is changed, we could be looking at entirely different plans, one which the planning board could then review and approve. The rejection or no vote by the planning board It would also give the planning board more time to review the recommendations of the Ulster County Planning Board, so that when it does come back to the planning board, it can make a well-informed and well-thought-out decision on the Aerostar proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Harmon.
After last month's meeting, when it was brought up by an audience member that a 50-foot setback was required, I went home and I read the zoning regulations, and it seemed pretty clear to me that, yeah, it is. I think that this is being rushed through. I didn't get to see it because I don't get that newspaper, but I heard that there was talk now about to blast out the back of the mountain, which we were told wasn't gonna happen. We can't get information about this online, okay? I find this, in today's days, we don't have newspapers. Where are people supposed to come get their information? They have to come down to town hall, interrupt people's work days to require to look at these plans. There's no reason this stuff can't be online on a PDF. New York State has required environmental impact statements to be online in a digital form for over 20 years. And I don't think it's true that the town has to pass a law to get this information online. It should be online so that everybody can see it and everybody can see what's going on. I've also heard that people are against the Dunkin' Donuts. I don't think anybody said that at the last hearing. People are against the drive-through. We think it changes the character of the town. Pine Hill was declared a historic neighborhood years ago. There are, out of all the historic properties in Shandaken, I think 5 of them are in Pine Hill. I think it changes the character of the neighborhood, and I think you do have the authority to take into account the neighborhood character, and I think you should. It's gonna change everything. I happen to live next door to the bridge. I said it last time. I know what the traffic's like. I know the traffic is seasonal. That traffic coming down that hill is so noisy. There's trucks coming down there all the time. You're gonna have people break in. You're gonna have accidents. So the DOT, when they didn't approve anything. All they do is they approve the egress, the driveways. They don't do traffic studies. They don't do any of that stuff. So to say DOT approved this is not really what happened. So I think that a lot more has to go into this. Oh, and the other thing is, when we had the last flood, somebody on Rose Mountain Road was doing construction and cleared out some of his property. And because he changed the terrain during the last flood, that's the water that took out the Pine Hill Park. It went right across the highway and caused the flood. So when if you have to take out the back of the mountain like that, the foot of the mountain to do a drive-through, all of that has to be taken into consideration. Because with all the climate change and everything, yeah, we are getting more floods, and we don't want to do anything to increase that likelihood. Thank you.
Thank you. People are here, I know, that didn't get a chance to sign in, so go ahead.
Is there anyone that arrived late that wanted to speak? Go ahead.
About the Dunkin' Donut issue?
About this project, yes,
Okay.
only this project.
Yeah. Okay, this is a 5-minute read here.
Your name first, please.
My name is Durga Yael Bernhardt, and I'm a certified integrative health and nutrition coach. I've been living in Shandaken for 26 years. I write and illustrate an online nutrition newsletter called The Art of Health, and I also developed an educational nutrition program called Outside the Box, which I taught in Ontario Middle School this last winter. So while I do not object to this project, I'm deeply concerned about the prospect of a fast food joint in the Catskill Forest Preserve. I'm particularly concerned about the health of our young people. 67% of the diet of young people in America is ultra-processed food, defined as food that comes in a package with 5 or more ingredients, including sugar, starch, unhealthy oils, and chemical additives. A typical Dunkin' Donut contains well over 100 ingredients. This includes numerous forms of artificial and refined sugar, carrageenan, a seaweed derivative that sounds wholesome but is actually associated with colon cancer, high fructose corn syrup, which causes fatty liver disease and forces the body to gain weight, and artificial vitamins, which not only are not absorbed, but block receptors so that vitamins from real food can't be absorbed. Finally, it also contains hidden forms of MSG, an excitotoxin that kills brain cells and makes food addictive, and mercury, a known neurotoxin. In the last meeting about this project, I heard several residents of Pine Hill cheer the addition of a food store in their community, a convenience which, as someone who lives 10 minutes from Pine Hill, I would also welcome. But donuts and the like are not food. They are ultra-processed, food-like substances that are unfit for human consumption. Please allow me to share just some brief statistics on the effects of ultra-processed food on the health of our society. Today, only 12% of Americans are metabolically healthy. Metabolic health is defined as healthy insulin sensitivity, healthy weight, healthy blood pressure, and freedom from chronic disease. Only 25% of American youngsters aged 20 to 40 are metabolically healthy. 15% of kids now have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, a huge risk factor for cancer, diabetes, metabolic syndrome, and early death. Healthcare now constitutes 20% of our national budget and is the fastest growing industry in the US. 1 out of 3 Medicare dollars is spent on type 2 diabetes, which is completely avoidable. 50% of Americans are diabetic or pre-diabetic, up to 80% of whom are undiagnosed. That number is expected to continue to rise in the coming decade, especially among young people. America is the most unhealthy developed nation in the world, with the highest rates of chronic disease, cancer, C-section births, infant mortality, maternal mortality, and COVID deaths. A staggering 60% of Americans suffer from at least one chronic disease, and another 25% suffer from 2 or more, costing 80% of our national medical budget of over $4 trillion a year, the highest in the developed world. For those of us who've been eating donuts and other baked goods all our lives, the sad truth is that the familiar treats of our childhoods are not the same as they were when we were growing up. Today, all non-organic wheat flour in the US is grown with the use of the weed killer glyphosate, aka Roundup, a known carcinogen that has elicited tens of thousands of lawsuits against Bayer Monsanto. The corporate giant settles these claims out of court and keeps these cases under wraps. Glyphosate also destroys wildlife and soil quality. It is the DDT of our times, completely banned in Europe, but used throughout the American junk food system, including Dunkin' Donuts. The donuts also contain soybean oil from soybeans that are also grown with glyphosate. Gluten intolerance and celiac disease are also on the rise. 6% of the US population is now gluten intolerant, and of these, up to 83% are undiagnosed. Celiac disease and gluten intolerance manifest with over 200 different symptoms. These conditions are increasing at a rate of 7.5% per year, partly due to the strain of dwarf wheat cultivated in the US, a short stature plant that can support more grain and thereby yield higher profits, but is also higher in gluten. Since the proteins in gluten closely resemble those of the thyroid, antibodies against gluten also attack the thyroid itself, resulting in autoimmune Hashimoto's disease, which probably everyone in this room knows someone who has it, because 20% of American women now have Hashimoto's disease and 10% of men. To make matters worse, propionic acid, a byproduct of harmful bacteria that's heavily associated with autism, is used as a preservative in all non-organic wheat flour, as well as potassium bromate, which is banned in Europe and Canada, but used here in many bread products and linked to cancer. 1 out of 32 American children are now born with autism. Among Afro-American boys, the number is even higher, 1 out of 22. since Afro-American men constitute a significant portion of the U.S. Armed Forces. This trend, combined with rapidly rising rates of juvenile diabetes, fatty liver disease, and other chronic diseases, means that as the younger generation reaches maturity, we may not even have enough healthy young people to maintain our military forces. With all this in mind, for the sake of young and old alike, we cannot afford another junk food joint in our community. Instead of Dunkin' Donuts, let's stock this store with local produce and foods that provide real nourishment, not a chemical confection of toxic and artificial ingredients. Thank you.
Thank you.
And this is a list of the ingredients in a Dunkin' Donut. All that, all these chemicals. Thank you.
Is that the last person?
Sorry. I remembered. Did you receive any comments from the DEP, and would you be able to read those into the record if you did?
Did we receive any?
My understanding is that the DEP did have some comments.
The DEP would be the New York City.
Yes, go ahead. You can come up and speak.
My name is Joyce Greenberg. I live on Algonquin Lane. I've been a resident of Shandaken for more than 35 years. I drive by this location almost daily, and I can assure you, I didn't hear anybody talk about traffic. And I just wanted to bring that up because when you're coming, you're going westward, and you come around that curve, it's a very dangerous curve. And I think with cars going in and out, it's a treacherous spot. At 55 miles an hour, you have limited vision. And I hope you will take the transportation issue, the traffic issue, into your calculations when you figure out whether or not, or when you're going to do it, or whatever. But that is a serious issue for those of us who live locally, as well as the many visitors that we have. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Don.
Just that, because it doesn't seem that everybody knows there is, that facility already has like a pre-existing non-conforming setback
That's right.
to the road. So that exists already. It's not necessary to have a variance there.
No, because the entire property is being completely redeveloped, and once you change something that's pre-existing,
Not
what
being
being
on a setback, right?
the entire property is being redeveloped, so therefore all the current zoning regulations apply.
So let me finish.
It could
Let
be
me
an
finish.
argument for a variance, but it's a pre-existing
It doesn't have a
non-conforming, it's not
pre-existing
apply.
non-conforming setback there. But also, I went and I took a lot of pictures of what the current status of what it is. And I believe are in the file. So, it's not in good shape now. It's in, complete disarray. It has the asphalt collapsing. There are propane tanks there, dumpsters there that need to be dealt with in some way. And I guess my final comment would just be that I think it's our job to just make sure that the rules are being followed, and it is not up to us at all to choose what type of a business goes in there. This is not part of our job, it's just the rules that we have. We don't say, oh, I want Joe's Pizza in the store instead of Dunkin' Donuts. I don't think that's our job to choose the type of business that is put in place.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have comments from?
You want them now or during the regular meeting?
Yeah, I guess we can move on to the regular meeting if everyone's had a chance.
Didn't we have a letter in support of this?
That was read during the last
That was right there.
public
Yeah.
hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
From the plan.
Yeah, someone came and spoke as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was from the Pine Hill.
When you take a building down completely, then you lose your footprint,
No,
and then you have to conform?
no.
Yes. That's what happened in Pine Hill on. Yes.
What you would need a variance if you were going to have more of a
No,
non-conforming.
because they're completely redeveloping the site, that if it wasn't 100% demolition, if they were just, adding on or
Can we
moving
close the
things
public
around,
meeting? We need a motion?
100%
Yeah.
of the new
Yes, we need a
development.
I move that we close the public hearing.
Okay, let's
Let's start
move
with
on to the
public.
regular, let's move on to the regular meeting.
So you have a motion on the table?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excuse me, has the public hearing been closed?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, moving on to the regular meeting.
That done.
Okay, it's 7:15. Everyone's still present.
Has everyone looked over the minutes from the previous meeting?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Comments or
Yes.
concerns?
Nope.
No.
A motion to approve.
Move the minutes be accepted.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I missed that meeting. They were good notes. They helped me understand.
Thank you.
Do we have any further communications other than those emails we read
Regarding this project, no.
Or anything.
or anything?
No?
There is one, I put one in everyone's folder, regarding the Rail Explorers.
Oh,
Oh, from Molly Holm.
I didn't read it yet.
Do you want me to read it?
No.
Okay.
By the time we find it, you'll have it read.
This is, I am not sure if Ulster County has kept Shandaken in the loop about the RFPs for our section of the train tracks here in Phoenicia. As of August 25th, the bid is closed. I assume Rail Explorers has won another 5-year contract. I am hoping the town will be involved in how that contract is written. I am hoping this so the residents of Shandaken can have some protections and further mitigations put into effect. We did receive a letter from the owner of Rail Explorers stating that if they won the contract, they would complete putting rubber on the tracks throughout the neighborhood of Andrew Lane and Mount Pleasant Road for next year. They need to also include Hasbrook Manor in the mitigation, which would mean a few hundred feet across the tracks over the road from them heading east. We have pressed them and Dennis Doyle numerous times to stop their runs through here at night without luck. We strongly feel this is not acceptable for them to be allowed to go past our houses so late. We are having dinner, we have come home from work, traffic dies down here in the evenings, and during midweek, most of the restaurants are closed. People tend to be shouting on the bikes, they are still loud on the rubberized sections, and especially on the tracks not yet done. And each bike now has bright lights on them seen from our houses and streets. They are also now crossing 28 in the dark and will be for the next 2 months. On rainy nights especially, the visibility is of concern for both drivers and the riders. Here is a section from the RFP related to their runs at night. They will be operating up until and maybe through November like last year. Sunset is far earlier than 8:30 p.m. Proposed hours of operation shall be noted. Any night operations proposed should note safety feature protocols that will be implemented. In general, operations should be restricted from sunrise to sunset in residential areas. We suggested to Dennis Doyle a compromise where they would not do their 6:30 p.m. run Sunday through Thursday, but that was denied. At this point, I feel we need the town to come to our defense again. This has been a long fight for us here to even get a few of the mitigations in place. I know you know this from all the town meetings we came to. The town's best chance to weigh in on behalf of its residents is probably right now before the new contract is written and signed. It's worth noting that Ulster County has not come to Shandaken to ask its people how they feel and what they would like for our section of the tracks. I appreciate any and all effort you can put in for us. Please feel free to call me or talk to my neighbors at any point. Thank you, Molly Holm, 38 Andrew Lane, Mount Tremper.
Okay, moving on to Aerostar Petroleum. We received comments from the Ulster County Planning Board. All right, Pine Hill Mobile Special Permit. Summary, the applicant is proposing to redevelop a site with an existing multi-tenant commercial use with an existing fueling station, convenience store, and laundromat to construct 2 new buildings, including a 7,200 square foot convenience store, gasoline canopy with 12 pumps, and 2,000 square foot structure for laundromat use. A Dunkin' Donuts drive-through is also proposed for the convenience store. No changes to the existing curb cuts for the New York State Route 28 are proposed. Materials submitted for review. Referral form, application materials, short EAF, site plan, grading and lighting plan. Recommendations. The applicant is proposing a redevelopment of a site that includes a drive-through facility. Critical details, as discussed below, that the town should be utilizing as part of its decision-making process are lacking and are typically included as part of the review of similar facilities found throughout Ulster County. Once an updated detailed plan is available, a re-referral to the County Planning Board is one of the board's required modifications. Transportation. The project is proposing to utilize 2 existing curb cuts to access New York State Route 28 while undergoing a complete redevelopment, including the addition of a Dunkin' Donuts drive-through. No traffic study or queuing analysis has been provided as part of the review. Internal access movements are unshown, and the details for the drive-through lane are limited with no bypass lane shown. As designed, queuing has the potential to block backing movements in parking spaces from occurring. Access from the state route, required modifications. Given the likely increase in site traffic because of the proposed Dunkin' Donuts in the drive-through lane, a traffic analysis and a queuing analysis that takes a close look at the peak times of operation will need to be provided for review. It is recommended that the peak hours of operation of the drive-through also consider differences depending on the season, as the site may see increased traffic at different times of day depending on the time of year. It is also recommended that the eastern curb cut, designated for ingress movements only via painting and signage, and the west curb cut be limited to egress movements only similarly. Given the speed of travel on Route 28 coming from the west towards the site, a review of the site for a left-hand turn lane should be considered. The accident history of the site, especially as it relates to the left-hand turning movements into the site, should be reviewed and may support the development of a turn lane. The last 5 years' accident data has been attached. Internal access, required modifications. An internal access plan will need to be provided, including but not limited to a delivery truck and emergency response vehicle turning templates. A dedicated driving lane internal to the site to access the drive-through should be identified on the plan and may necessitate the removal of one of the proposed fueling islands or the rotation of the canopy. Parking spaces in the drive-through lane should be separated to avoid blocking and backing movements of vehicles from parking spaces. Furthermore, the plan should identify a bypass lane for vehicles to move around the proposed convenience store and to avoid the queue as necessary. Area variance, 116-40, Section D of the Town Zoning Code states, the area of use by motor vehicles, including display and storage, except access drives thereto, as well as any structures, shall not encroach on any required yard area, and further provided that no building shall be erected closer than 50 feet to any street or lot line. Advisory comment. The proposal appears to violate the requirement of a minimum of 50-foot separation for the proposed buildings from the street or lot line and may require the review of the town ZBA for an area variance. Landscaping. A landscaping plan is absent from the materials provided. Required modification. The applicant will need to provide a detailed landscaping plan that indicates the location and types of all proposed plantings, along with an accompanying schedule that indicates the number, types, and sizes of all plantings. Lighting. The applicant has provided a basic lighting plan that gives estimates on lighting levels and does not provide cut sheets regarding the specific types of lighting to be installed. Required modification. Lighting levels will need to be calculated for the plan, with levels not to exceed the Illuminating Engineering Society's, IES, outdoor site recommended illuminance levels, see attached. All luminaires are required to be LED and will need to meet the fully shielded definition adopted by the International Dark Sky Association, IDSA, or be an approved fixture of the IDSA with cut sheets provided. Furthermore, the UCPB recommends that the average foot candle of the lighting under the proposed canopy be less than 20 foot candles to reduce off-site glare. Stormwater management. While the project will not involve an acre of disturbance, the planning board, given the use of the site, the amount of pavement and its proximity to the state right-of-way, a stormwater management and grading plan should be provided to inform the board's decision-making process. The applicant is also proposing a retaining wall that does not include details regarding materials, style, or height specifications, which may impact stormwater flow. The site plan provided shows existing contours to be modified, but does not provide grading details that demonstrate how it will precisely be modified or how that will impact stormwater flows. The use of oil separators at catch basins, given the nature of the use, may also be necessary. Required modification. A grading and stormwater management plan will need to be provided for the town planning board's review. Details for the proposed retaining wall will also need to be provided and should be included as part of the site's rendering photo simulation. Sustainability. As part of the redevelopment of this facility, it is important to include compliance with the New York State Energy Code as part of the review of projects and to incorporate responsiveness to climate change as part of each proposal as a means of taking the opportunity to reduce carbon emissions whenever possible. The applicant's use of LED lighting, which is now common practice countywide, should be considered just a starting point. Electric vehicle charging stations are a further focus of the county planning board as an increasingly common standard feature of commercial development. Finally, moving away from fossil fuels as a heat source and increasing insulation is also recommended. Required modification. The town and the applicant should look at the ways the proposal is meeting the New York State Stretch Energy Code and actively seek to reduce the carbon footprint of the facility using alternatives to fossil fuels such as passive solar and geothermal heating use of heat pumps. The UCPB also recommends that the infrastructure necessary to develop electric vehicle charging stations should be provided, given the growing trend and goals of New York State and the country to reduce automotive emissions. Signage, required modification. The applicant has proposed a replacement freestanding sign as well as wall signage. While the applicant indicates that the location and the height are to remain for the new freestanding sign, the current height of the existing sign is not identified, nor is its square footage. Any new signage will need to conform to the standards of the zoning code. The use of monument-style signage with associated landscaping is recommended as an alternative for community character enhancement. Fuel tanks. While the existing tank location is noted on the existing conditions plan, the location of the replacement tanks has not been identified. Required modifications. In compliance with the federal and state underground tank regulations and chemical bulk storage, the applicant will need to identify the location of the proposed fuel tanks on the site plan and register them with the New York State DEC. Re-referral, required modification. As mentioned, given the scope of details and analysis that should be required as part of the review of this proposal, it is recommended that this project be re-referred to the Ulster County Planning Board. Reviewing Officer Robert Leibowitz. Okay, then along with that, from David Stoss, I guess this is the crash data they mentioned. 3 crashes over the most recent 5 years of data, 3/31/18 through 3/31/23. 2 crashes involved vehicles entering or exiting the mobile. The crash entering the mobile was a left-hand turn to enter and resulted in injuries. The remaining crash was a single vehicle crash running into the guardrail and unrelated to the mobile entrance. Okay. David Stass, Senior Transportation Planner, Ulster County Transportation Council, from Robert Leibowitz. Okay, that's just referencing the property. Then they sent a map showing just the location of the crashes as they relate to the gas station.
Any comments?
No.
All right.
The information provided there is a little bit incorrect, it's not incorrect, but the service station has not been open for the past year, so that the 5 years of data is actually 4 years of data. There's no data for at least the past 12 months.
Okay, noted, thank you. They also sent a guideline for exterior lighting plans. Okay. That was a lot. Okay, going back to the public comments. First issue, is everyone's concerned about the setback requirements. So, what do you think? We need to, yeah. What's your question, John?
This long letter that you read,
Yes.
it's dated the 6th of September. I don't know when we got it. I guess Vivian got a copy, which she sent me a day or so ago.
I just got it today.
I just got it.
Yeah, we received it this
Well,
morning.
I was gonna say, has the applicant gotten this letter? No. Has the public gotten this letter? No.
Yes.
How has the public gotten the letter?
How's the-
How's the
Seems
public
to me
getting
this
this?
is
This is-
approachable.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what happened. This email was sent to me from Rob Leibowitz at 4:45 on Thursday. Let me see, it was yesterday. No, it was, I got it on Tuesday at 4:45 p.m.
That was yesterday.
So Olivia didn't get it until today.
Until first thing
So
this
when,
morning.
yeah, when I got it on Tuesday, I sent it out to the planning board. Then this morning, I spoke to Robert Leibowitz, and I asked a couple of questions, and one of them was, can I share this with the public, especially the people who came to the hearing and had similar concerns? He said, no problem. So then I sent it to Jan Jaffe, and she distributed it to people that she knew were concerned. And that's how the public had access to this. I just wanted to explain that.
It seems like this should have been put online.
I
Everybody
agree.
to
And I
see.
think based on the timing, the fact that it was last minute delivery by email, I don't know if we would have had time to put it online. It would have been basically today, and then we wouldn't have been able to notify people that it was online. Am I right, Olivia?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But I think in the future, that would be a great idea.
So, the applicant never got this letter, you don't know anything about this information?
Well, I know a little bit about it because I went to the meeting. Yeah, should I address some of these issues?
Sure.
Okay, so I was at the meeting and, should I?
Yes, please.
Yes.
What meeting are you talking about?
The Ulster County
the
Planning
council
Board.
plan.
Planning board meeting.
And Vivian is a member.
Yes, I saw her there.
I'm
the liaison to the Ulster County Planning Board. That means I'm a voting member of the Ulster County Planning Board, but I'm recused because I'm also a voting member of the Shandaken Planning Board. So I couldn't
You
speak
can't,
at
well,
the
you can't,
hearing.
yeah, you can't.
Yeah, I
vote.
couldn't speak at the hearing. That's why I got a copy, yes.
And nobody else.
John,
And-
you were provided a copy as soon as we were able to get it to you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not
Which
worried
was
about me
yesterday.
as much as
Yeah.
the audience.
Yesterday.
Who are here to comment on something
That nobody's seen.
we in the dark.
Yeah.
So, I would make a few comments. I was a little surprised. I mean, those planning board meetings, as Vivian may know, they're usually not very public, and yet we got one of the locals was there and gave a long speech. I wasn't prepared to speak because they're not invited to speak, you know, it's supposed to be just a professional. I was offered a last minute chance to speak, but I wasn't prepared to speak, is what I said. And I was a little disappointed that, because in my past experience, and I've dealt with the Ulster County Planning Board for 40 years. Yes, 40 years, 41 years. They're usually pretty professional, and I felt that they could not read the drawings. For instance, they made a comment about no bypass lane for the Dunkin' Donuts. Well, what is a 25-foot wide road if it's not a lane and a bypass lane? Okay, I didn't have the word bypass on there, but, you know, there's a reason that we made it that big, you know. I was a little surprised. Also, they said something about the lighting and you know, they acted as if we didn't know that if we didn't have on my plans that it's a LED lighting. That's been, you know, I've done dozens of site plans in the area, and they're always LED downlights. I have pictures of them in the drawing with the specification name. I don't know why the planning board couldn't see that. So, you know, and I think they ended up with a plan that showed the stacking where they, which is 12 cars that I had in the original, the submitted plans. And I did, you know, 12 is quite a few. It's more than most of the Dunkin' Donuts I've seen. Plus, there's a whole big parking lot and gas pumps and a whole big area out there, which has nothing to do, it's gonna prevent everybody from nobody's gonna back up out onto 28 from, you know, based on all the space that's on that property. I mean, if anybody with any sense drives on 28, you know you don't stop on 28. There's a driveway, there's lots of room, there's, you know, half an acre there, some of which it belongs to the state, so we can't use it, you know, for permanent parking and things like that, but there's a lot of room there, including where the bus stops once or twice a day. So I just was a little disappointed that the county planning board was, you know, when they read through their comments and took a vote. But they didn't.
That seems to be irrelevant, whether you.
Well, it's relevant that they're saying that things weren't provided that were provided. And that's what I'm bringing up. As far as some of the other stuff, I mean, we can address it in a meeting, or I can address it in writing. You know, up to you how you. as the
Instead
planning
of
board.
addressing it, can you add them to your plans?
He has to add them to his plan.
Yeah.
I'm looking at drawings that are still dated June 30. We've had this discussion before
What?
about showing the drive-through queuing. If you have a bypass lane, do we have new ones? Let's see it.
It's from last month. There's
I
no
was
way-
sick. I didn't see it, so I didn't
Oh,
get
you
it.
didn't, you weren't
I
here.
could read it in the notes, but I didn't see a plan. All right, I'll take it back.
I
Let's see what we got.
have also, because there was a concern, which I think is a valid concern, about showing where the tank goes. It's an underground tank, so it doesn't really affect the site plan in terms of parking or anything like that. But, you know, I didn't show it on the last time, although the owner and I had discussed it. And we had also figured where the truck was gonna go. So I created another page showing how the truck enters the property and can pull alongside the tank for unloading, and yet people can still get at the gas pumps, and it has nothing to do with the Dunkin' Donuts. It's not blocking that. So I did present because of the planning board meeting, because of the county planning board meeting, which was only a week ago, I did prepare that plan. Obviously, you guys haven't seen it because it was just
Okay, so
prepared this week.
Can you go over this, not now, but can you go over these 3 sheets and put, I mean, they're talking about like energy code, and obviously you're gonna follow all the New York State laws.
Yeah.
So what do they want you to do? To write on a piece of paper, we will follow the energy code of New York State?
That's actually in the EAF, I believe.
Okay, so I think if you
you
could
know,
review these,
I mean, some of this stuff is standard.
I understand that,
boilerplate,
but, you know, if you could just review them and add them to the piece of paper, and,
Well, if the, like the energy code is on the EAF, we have checked the box that, yes, we're gonna comply with the energy code. I design a lot of buildings and, you know, it's,
I think they're asking for more than the code, and you're not obligated to go beyond the code.
And that's really the
Case
building
closed.
department's purview anyway, that's
Right.
construction, that's not.
yeah.
When they have, yes, you have to adhere to it, yes, you know
and
that, but
on the EAF,
that's not this board though.
short
okay, but
form.
I just, if they just state all the things that they, like, plan for the future of electric charging, if you just put enough power in the building, you'll have enough for the, if you want to add electric charging.
Right,
So
I don't believe there's a requirement to add it at this point, at least not one that I'm.
No, there isn't that I know of. Otherwise, there'd
But
be,
it might be something the owner did anyway, it's, you know.
If they
that's-
stop buying gas, I imagine the owner who owns 47 other gas stations is going to provide something his customers demand.
Dunkin' Donuts.
and it's, here it says register them with the DEC.
Well, any underground tank.
Has to
over
be
a certain
registered, but
size
does it
has
have to be registered now?
Well, it's registered when it's installed. In fact, I've done the
Right,
paperwork.
okay.
They want a drawing showing exactly where it is.
And they'll be there to witness that
And
as
they'll
well.
be there. when
Right,
he's
so if
pulling
you
out
could
the
just,
old one
if
and-
just write all these things down, I think we got it, except for the one thing that they talk about was the 25 feet versus the 50. We have to check that.
Yeah, I mean, we would ask that it be grandfathered because the existing building is less than 25 feet. The basic bulk of the building is about 25, but there's a bunch of stuff that sticks out and violates that, as well as the canopy and stuff, which is actually violating the property line, in addition to the.
So I apologize, I was not aware, I actually had
That's
strep throat, if you can imagine. Flying too much, so I couldn't come. So this is good. I would like to see an updated plan though, because it's to protect the town, if you just put the words in there, bypass lane. This way, if the owner starts putting dumpsters where the bypass lane should be, we have something to go and say, hey, you gotta keep that clear. Just
Yeah.
2 seconds in CAD.
Actually, that's on this revised plan already.
Great, thank you.
To make that clear, and I also checked on the turning radiuses for cars so that they fit into that 25 feet. I mean, I could show it to you now, or it
So
could
I
be
think
part
what
of.
Alan
Yes,
and
please do.
Yeah, if there's a more
saying-
updated plan, I think we need to see that.
Robert Leibowitz told me this morning that he only got an 11 by 17 site plan.
That's why they couldn't read the site.
That's why he couldn't read it.
Yeah, see,
But we
some
need to
towns,
see it too.
some towns have
Yeah.
me submit this directly to the county, and some towns don't.
I think what you two are both commonly asking is that he
Are these the same page?
answer the questions that the county just asked.
Exactly.
Put him on the map.
Exactly.
So the top one is the existing situation, and for comparison, I've also listed the problems, some of the problems with the existing one. This is the new one. And I also did the arrows and the controls on
Oh,
the
this is much
driveway,
better.
which is, you know, standard New York State stuff.
Now, as far as this, I didn't mean to cut you off. As far as this access goes, you had already spoken to the DEP, and they said you're not allowed to touch that, correct?
the
I'm sorry, DOT,
DOT.
thank you.
They said they did not want curbs. I mean, that's often an issue when because they usually want a small entrance for curbs, for traffic control. That would slow people down in terms of entering. So I would always push for the biggest entrance. In this case, they don't want curbs because it would interfere with their drainage.
And what did they say about directional entrances and exits?
They agreed. What's on the plan and what the
DOT
county
wants
said.
that, what the,
And what
okay.
the county
Can
says
you see
and
the
everything.
signal here,
I did add this in here, so that's the arrows, but also there's a note that these are the signs for entrance only, exit only, and this is the detail that the state always requires. That's their actual detail.
So can we make this updated plan available to our public here in the
I've
town?
not even seen it.
No,
I'm
it
sorry.
just got done in the
Just,
last
okay.
couple of days.
When it's available to us, we can make it available to the public?
And this is the one, this is the signage over here.
Yeah, this is sort of the way they show it. It's a weird, they're trying to show in a flat plan something that's in fact got stuff at an angle. That's just their.
I see, okay, I got you, I see. They unfold it though,
Yeah, they
yes.
unfold it
Okay.
to show it.
So those are behind the do not enter sign.
And then there's also shown on here the curves that are standards for the highways for tractor trailer to make the turn, to come in and come up to it. And I've shown a new tank location.
I see.
So
that.
did they
Just
have,
find a quick
they
check.
didn't have this
No, they
plan?
didn't have.
I mean, they don't have.
Nobody's had it, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, this was in response to their comments. I mean, I had the stacking.
Oh, I see.
I had the stacking on before, but in the print they had, it was
That's right.
very hard to see.
This is dated Tuesday, yesterday.
Yeah.
I got it. Okay.
Now, you're showing a lot more detail here about the retaining wall, which is good, because I remember we had asked about that. Have you got anything more that you can show us in terms of, I think we have a pretty good feel for what a concrete cribbing is going to look like, but I think it'd be good for the public to be able to see, here's what this thing's going to appear to be.
No, no, I don't have it here with me today.
Can you provide something?
Yes, I can.
It'll be the tallest retaining wall along 28. Can I say something about disappointment? He was disappointed in the county planning board. Think of how disappointed all of us are, trying to figure out what we're even coming to a hearing about. Because this is missing, that is missing. There's a plot on, now he shows up with new plans on Academy Street where
Those two are like
the guy took
tagged
down the
together.
building and was told now it's an unbuildable lot. He has to go to, for a variance if he wanted to put anything back there. So it's an empty lot. He would have to go through all these variances. Because the old building was grandfathered in, when it was taken down and put inside.
Who are you talking about?
Okay, that's
What are you talking
unrelated,
about?
that's unrelated to this project.
No, I'm just saying about, consistency of application of our rules and regulations. Because he's gonna take down the existing building, which was grandfathered.
There's no consistency
and
to a
put up
variance,
whole
you
new
know that.
building. And some of the stuff was in the right of way because
Can't argue
they had
with that.
problems
Yes,
gas
sir.
station and then they widened Route 28. So it was like,
I
now
don't
the
even
stuff,
know if
the
she's
tanks
talking
were
about
in the, they were in the right of way.
Okay.
Where today,
I
you
can,
wouldn't let them do
I
that.
can see what happened here, everything overlapped.
Yep.
And we don't
Nobody
know
even-
what these plans look like.
They don't know
and
about
we
this.
don't
We
know.
Yeah, we want
are
you to
just
know.
seeing these for the first time. Let's move past that, please.
All right, well, then you should have another hearing on the plan. On the site plan.
Please continue working through the list.
I have more to say about the traffic flow.
Okay.
It was suggested that there would be a problem with the parked cars backing up into the queue to get out of the parking spaces. And also there would be traffic coming out of the gas pumps. They're suggesting that this be the ingress and this side be the egress. So there's the right side of the gas pumps to come in and the left side to come out, and move the drive-through to this right-hand side of the gas pumps. The reason that they said that was to give more room for these parked cars to get out. And also, the way I see it, you don't really have a way for these people who just got gas. They would either have to back up where cars are coming in, or they would
So, I mean, my answer there is that the stacking that we're talking about is the 12 that are here. And I was merely showing the path in, when, you know, which, that's not considered stacking. So, yes, you're right, if there were 20 cars in a line, somebody's gonna have some inconvenience.
Let me ask you this, you've done this before. What's a standard queue for, like, how much space?
About 12.
12
That's what
12
we
is
came
the
out with.
standard.
That's where from the Dunkin' Donuts, that's basically, they did the study and that's what they recommend.
I mean, this to
That's a
me
lot
looks
of cars.
longer than most drive-through queue
Yeah.
lines I've seen.
That's a lot of cars and 12 cars. If you got more than 12, they go park in parking spot and go inside. They're not gonna wait around in the lines.
Now, it's not shown on here, but where does somebody
Every
pick up their donuts?
I had a roof there, I should have, it didn't come out on this plan.
How did I?
Well, they may order here, they may order here, it's up to Dunkin' Donuts, yeah. It would actually be better if they ordered here, because then you've got more stacking behind them.
So the way you
So
have
there's a
it
bypass
planned,
line,
then, people are going to come
That
in this
addresses
way
that.
to get
Oh,
gas,
well,
or they
there-
would also be coming in this way as well.
Well, you know, people do,
They can get
you
it.
know.
What's gonna have directional signs to
We can do that, but there's enough room in between for this car can go around, this car can, I mean, this is enough room in between parking spots and the gas pump. This is the canopy, the pump will be at least 10 feet back. So it's gonna be enough room to make it turn. If there's somebody coming from here, you can't stop them. When you put the arrow on, they're going to go with it.
I completely agree.
I would
I think
point
that's
out
an
that
executive
Greek
session
has many,
conversation.
many
it's
gas
not.
stations.
All right.
and the
You do what you gotta do. I happen to
You
agree
know,
with
is
you.
something
I mean,
that
You know, that's what our own doing business make
before I
it.
get it.
I agree, completely. It bothered me when I heard it.
Oh.
Okay, so I'm bringing up points that were brought up at the planning board meeting, where it was suggested that they change the traffic pattern so that the people coming into the drive-through come in on the right side of the pumps, take out or move these different configuration, or take this out completely, the last row of gas pumps, so that the queue could go around the back instead of going past the parked cars.
My question as to that is there a single drive-through in the town of Ulster that can handle more than 12 cars without being in front of parking spaces? I mean, I know the Dunkin' Donuts in Ulster is much smaller than this.
Yes.
Well, when you add to it the people coming in and out of the gas pumps, when they're going in and out of the gas pumps all, different directions depending on where their gas tank is, and then coming out again, it looks very confusing, especially if people don't really know where to go in for what purpose.
I mean, I see the concern about people backing up, but I mean, how many cars are they expected to stack? 30 cars?
Right,
40
okay.
cars? Like, where does it end? I'm just looking
At some point,
at
some point, we have to assume there's common sense
Yes,
amongst the
has to
people
come in.
that are customers.
Okay, so
I mean, every parking lot has cross traffic.
is there a place where pedestrians can go from the laundry across the whole gas pump area and the queue to get into the convenience store?
Well, they wouldn't be crossing the queue. I mean, the queue is behind the building.
Okay,
along
but
the-
people coming into the queue will be driving through there, as well as people parking and people getting gas. So how would you suggest people coming here and their laundry is being done and they're waiting and they want to go and get something to eat or shop in the store? Where would you suggest?
How
that they
large
go?
is this space behind that last gas island there in the wall?
It's not wide enough for both somebody getting gas and the bypass right now. I mean, if it's important to the planning board, it just increases the amount we have to
we can
dig out.
increase
We
the.
could-
What about
We could make enough.
what about a sidewalk back there though? For pedestrians to walk from.
Well, there's
keep
enough
them-
room right there if somebody was really wanted to walk around. I
mean,
It's
you know,
all asphalt, right?
Yeah, it's all asphalt. Human nature would be that they'd be cutting straight through.
Yeah.
Why not put the buildings next to each other?
Now, are you the developer also on the Hurley,
No.
Dunkin' Donuts?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just the Dunkin' Donuts.
That's just a
It's not-
Dunkin' Donuts.
Tariq's-
It's not a gas
Tariq's always
station.
a gas station, convenience stores.
When the Ulster County Planning
Please wait
Board was
your turn.
reviewing this, one of their concerns was the occurrence of gasoline deliveries and Dunkin' Donut deliveries. You may have two tractor trailers on the site at the same time. The applicant may say, well, we have control of them. They don't have control of that. That's scheduled by the distributor of both Dunkin' Donuts and the gasoline, not by the owner.
Can I, sir?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
The delivery truck that I own, all the delivery truck, I got fully control on it. I'm not gonna be delivery every day to get delivery on this kind of gas station like once a week.
Are you talking about the fuel truck?
About the fuel.
I own fuel truck. We can deliver when, we can schedule it with busy time and slow time.
So you do control.
I got my
the
own.
schedule.
I got my own truck. I'm distributor of mobile and Citgo. We do buy directly from over. We got own trucks, and we got terminal to the gas station. We got fully control on. And beside of that, the Dunkin' Donuts don't have big tractor trailer. I have no idea where that come from that day. Dunkin' Donuts has small box truck.
Please, we let you talk. Please let him speak.
I can answer that. There was
What
one
was
of the
that?
town liaisons who also has a Dunkin' Donuts in this town. He said that the applicant promised that there would be no deliveries in business hours to the Dunkin' Donuts. And he says now they come with a big tractor trailer, deliver the Dunkin' Donuts supplies, and he has no control over that. And he said that's a hazardous condition.
I heard that. I didn't want to say anything that day. But they have box truck with the
Well, he said
donor.
he said they come with
Donuts.
a tractor trailer. And also-
They don't need to deliver donuts in big truck.
Vivian,
It
can you
needs
sit
that.
down back in your chair,
I
please?
have to look at the map. I
So
don't
they
have my copy.
basically
Here, we'll get your map.
Go ahead, take it.
Sit back down. Vivian, I just want to say something. I'm upset with what you did. What you did by giving this information out to the public before we got it is wrong.
I
And
didn't
you,
do that. I gave it after you got it. I didn't give it until today.
I got it,
gave you the
I got it
information.
45 minutes ago. What are you talking
No,
about?
I'm talking about when I got the
You've been
email
out,
from the county.
you've been overstepping what
on
you're doing this board.
Tuesday.
You're one board member. You're not the
Can I
board.
speak?
I'd like you to
Because
sit back
You
down.
told me that I did something I didn't do.
You
You told me
said,
that I gave the information to the public before I gave it to you. As soon as I got the email from the county, which was 4:45 on Tuesday, after the building department closed, I took it on myself to send that email to every planning board member, including yourself. And now you're saying that you didn't get my email?
Grace, when did you get the information?
I got it this morning.
You got it this morning.
I got the email.
Because the email went out after she had gone home. That's why I knew that
Will
you
you
needed to get
stop
it
doing
ahead of
this? Will you
time.
just give it to the secretary, whose job is it to give it out to everybody else? It's not your job to give it out. You've done this
It's not my job. I do feel that it is my job to
How?
share information from
with the
county.
secretary, and the secretary gives it to the board members. Stop doing
There
that.
was a time problem. Would you not want to get it yesterday instead of today so that you can look at it? That's what I did. I sent it to you yesterday. Okay,
Stop
it's a
sending it to us.
misunderstanding.
Send it to the person who you're supposed to send it to.
She already got it, okay?
She
I
just
beat her
said she
to it to
didn't.
send it out to you. Is that a problem?
Everyone,
Seems to be. Look what it cost tonight.
everyone here is upset about stuff that they didn't even, that they had addressed, but we didn't even know it had been addressed until this moment. We just got these plans. Okay, we just got these comments. This is, as you well know, this is a volunteer board. We all have jobs. Okay, I cannot spend my days doing site plan review. when I get something the morning of a public hearing that's new information, I can't review it till after work, as nobody else can either.
Exactly.
Accident can happen anything. That's what police car installed it yesterday. This is the police car that signed yesterday. And it's installed it. Accident can happen anything.
We have a 10-day requirement, which, as a courtesy to existing applicants, we often let them give us materials later so we can get stuff by the meeting.
What happened is that the planning board's review and the public hearing were scheduled too close together. There should have been an adequate time between when it was on the planning board agenda so that the applicant could then respond to it and perhaps submit revised plans, and then you schedule the public hearing upon receipt of the
Hillary,
plan.
as you know, all the information should come from the people, the boards, the county, to the secretary. She's the one to distribute it to us.
I think what John had
Now-
said,
She's a Ulster County Planning Board member. I think it was an appropriate courtesy.
We disagree.
We disagree.
We are the board.
We disagree.
It's conflict of
Well, you
interest.
can see what
Well, she's on
happened
the
tonight.
comprehensive plan.
Why did her sending it out cause the problem? What's the problem?
Because
Because none of
documents
us
need
got
to
it.
be
Didn't see it.
controlled.
We
It's-
didn't get it.
You shouldn't be having this discussion now. You should table it until everybody sees it and can digest
It's not like we're commenting about what the county said. We're here just as clueless, even though we.
Nobody
What we're
disagrees
trying
that
to
you should
do
see it.
is find out what the county said.
And
Ask this
half of
gentleman
the
to
public
answer the
comments were about
questions.
what the county said.
And
Yeah.
straighten it out. We're
Let's
trying
end
to
it.
work through it. We're
Let's
trying
end
to
it.
do what you're asking. We're trying to do what
Let's
he's
end it.
asking, and we're
This
trying
is
to
not
do what the man
productive.
is.
I do have
All
a
right.
substantive question, though.
Go ahead.
Okay.
How do we address, are we comfortable saying that we have an existing non-conforming use, laundromat, gas station, retail, that's being replaced by laundromat, gas station, retail? Are we comfortable saying that the existing non-conforming use is acceptable with regard to the setbacks?
Excuse me, a use and a building are two different things.
can't
There is no non-conforming.
I'm not talking to you.
use.
The public
I'm sorry.
hearing
You
is
can't
I'm not
interrupt
talking
us.
to you.
I'm just advising.
I'm not talking to you.
This is not a public hearing anymore.
So I'm asking, are we comfortable
Trying to give you
proceeding?
professional
I
advice.
am.
I am.
And are we gonna,
I think
I'm
this hasn't
comfortable
been
as well,
settled.
but
I mean, it seems like we're having different, I mean, what was said about when we get, a application in front of the Ulster County Planning Board, it is separated into site plan review and special use permit. That's true. I don't know enough about why that's true, or whether that is generally true, or whether it needs to be true. I don't think that's settled. I'd like to know more about it.
Okay, so you'll have to review it then.
All right.
We have a workshop. We can review it.
Can you answer these questions that were addressed by the county?
Yeah.
Make it clear, make a list that says, because there's a lot of controversy, lower left-hand corner answers question number 1, please.
So they all understand.
You have some behind you
Yes, thank you.
instead of noise,
And
Yes,
in my opinion.
we need the updated maps
yes.
Yes.
for the meeting.
Do you want to see them for the workshop?
Yeah, oh yeah,
Please
yes,
come to
yes,
the
please come to the workshop.
And that's when.
The last.
It's the last Wednesday of the
of
month. We're last Wednesday and second Wednesday. Last is
so would the
workshop,
plan be,
second-
sorry, I'm sorry to interrupt, but, so would the plan be that we're not gonna take an action tonight, we wanna see the revised plan?
Yes,
Yes.
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 Okay, I like that approach.
And the answers to some.
Yes, please.
Yes.
To all the questions.
I don't think we discussed stormwater.
Well, we're not gonna go over them now. He's
No.
gonna have a chance to answer all the questions that are in that letter.
Go to the New York City DEP. I haven't heard the comments read into the record.
We don't have any.
Got 'em.
Grace,
Oh,
we
they're
did
there.
get
Grace
some,
has them.
I thought, oh, are these the old ones? We read these last meeting.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
already
We read these at the last meeting.
You did?
Yeah. There's no new.
We're saying that they require stormwater pollution prevention plan?
And the applicant added the SWIP to their SEA.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
which we told them last meeting.
Right, so that doesn't constitute, require any plan changes?
No, I don't have some. And I don't have a copy of the plan.
You don't have a
You
copy
could
of
have-
this?
yeah, give-
Yeah, it's
give
requesting a SWIP, which we said last. Yeah,
Is that the county?
we, yeah, which we had said to you last meeting that we needed a SWIP.
Here's the county. I could print it again from my phone.
So what is the procedure to determine whether they have an adequate stormwater plan?
What have you done as far as stormwater?
Well, I had actually installed a couple of catch basins and some piping. When I talked to the people in charge of the runoff, or really the DOT, in that area, and they said that they didn't see a problem, that everything was an adequate size. But that's not the same thing as any kind of, retention or something. My understanding of regulations is if your project creates a new disturbance of an acre or more, then you have some pretty serious, in the DEP land, you have some pretty serious design things. But we're not disturbing another acre. We're disturbing about a half an acre. So they will still call it a SWIP, a stormwater pollution prevention plan, but it would basically be an erosion control plan, and showing where we're directing the runoff. And I've sort of done that with the contour and stuff, but, it's, with 2-foot contours, there's only like one contour on the property, so
Right.
it's not so obvious.
So can you put that in
I'll put
when you're
some
gonna,
arrows.
can you put that in,
Yes.
please?
Yes.
Thank you.
So we're going to get a revised site plan with the information about the retaining wall, about the drainage. Are there missing information? I just want to make sure we have landscaping. We have the fuel tank,
Yeah, it's on there.
location.
Yeah.
The fuel delivery is right next to what is this red rectangle?
That's the truck.
Oh, that's the
Tractor
truck.
trailer, there's the
Okay.
tires.
Okay, I saw the lighting plan on the other sheet.
Yes.
It showed, you have cut sheets for the lights on there, and you show the foot candle levels. I saw that.
Just go down that sheet from the county and answer everything. Make it clear.
And that's what I'll do, and say, where it is on the plan.
Thank you.
Now, about the signage, the Ulster County Planning Board wanted more information about this dimensions, what's gonna be. On the sign, they had a question, there's a liquor store sign somewhere on the existing property, I think. Is there going to be a liquor store sign also on the new sign?
It's on the plans, I believe.
It was on the plans that they submitted last month.
Yeah.
That's on, yeah,
Okay.
those signs are on the
Those are
plans.
like on the
Okay.
building, on the building.
On the building, but on the freestanding sign?
No.
Okay. And you'll have it,
Dunkin' Donuts side now.
so they want, information about the size of the, and the location of the.
It's there.
Location exists, and we decided that we're just gonna stay where it is, sign now.
Actually,
Same
it's
size.
rather important because the state owns so much land there
Yeah.
that if we put a new sign, a new stanchion sign, it would be so far back from the road that people on
Yeah.
28 wouldn't see it, and they'd be slamming on their brakes, adding to the traffic
Right,
concerns.
after they pass it.
We don't want to move the signpost because we wouldn't get permission, from the state to move it,
To put a better one.
yeah, so we're gonna keep the one we have.
Okay. We're done.
Yeah, this is not the hard
That's-
copy that we
That's
have.
on the-
This is on the new set.
Oh, that's on the freestanding sign.
Yeah, that's,
Oh, okay.
that's over the
Oh,
door,
that's
that's
over
over
the
the
door.
door, and it shows,
Okay.
shows the distance from the road,
Okay.
over door.
On the side.
That's,
So I would also just add for your information, and maybe include it here when you're talking about the setback, besides what is the legality of the grandfathering, we are, the building is, I think, just going from memory, it's at least 67 feet from the road. It's just that the state owns a lot of land there. And so, that.
That in front of the back,
Okay.
okay.
Okay, ready?
All All right, and anything else to let him, that he needs to address, that he doesn't know about? I think it's basically all here.
Yeah,
You addressed a bunch of it
I
already.
gave him.
Good luck to you, Sean. I'll be invoiced.
You gave him a copy.
Oh, I
Of
would
the
mention,
county, yeah.
the planning board, the county mentioned the stretch code, which is a version of the New York State Energy Code that's only applicable when it's been adopted. It's been adopted by New York City, it's been adopted by Beacon, and those are the only two places I know of. Maybe there's some on Long Island or something. But it's an enhanced or extra restrictive version of the energy code, which is already rather strict.
Strict, right.
So for our county, it's
not
voluntary?
required.
It's
not-
voluntary.
Yeah.
And that's up to
Well,
building
they state
inspector.
that it's not required.
Right.
I didn't hear that.
They call it a recommendation, or you should do your, make efforts, they said something like that.
They want to
Okay.
cut the.
Should, yeah,
charging
the
stations
town and
everywhere.
applicant should look at the ways the
Should.
proposal is
Yeah.
meeting the stretch code.
Yeah.
So we're good?
Okay.
We'll see you next month.
Well, no.
Yeah, no, workshop in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
No, don't ask.
No.
Meetings are.
All right. Any other business?
Did everyone, did you like that? Yes.
I go,
Yes, that's.
adjourn?
That's right.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Who made the motion? Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.